It's a range-bound day on the Lal Street. The Nifty is lying quiet around 5370 odd levels. It's the FMCG and metals pack which is dragging the market down.
Fix the fisc and all else will fall in place, says Vallabh Bhanshali in exclusive interview to ET Now. The chairman of Enam Securities says while growth is important, the government should first work on building credibility.
FMCG major ITC slips as much as 3% in trade after IDFC Securities downgrades the stock to underperform. The brokerage says systemic risks in the global tobacco industry will hit the stock.
With inflation showing signs of cooling off, RBI indicates that a sustained fall in prices will lead to a rate cut. Deputy Governor Chakraborty also says that the central bank is yet to assess the drought impact on prices.
And European markets have been trading weak with a negative bias as investors wait for more cues over the timing and extent of any further stimulus to tackle the Eurozone's debt crisis. This is markets at lunch, and after a day's break, the markets are trading absolutely flat.
Plenty of big voices join us over the next 60 minutes to analyze the mood of the market. Rahul Chadda of Mirae Asset Global Investments and Satish Ramanathan of Sundaram Mutual Fund join in with a fundamental perspective on the market. We also be joined live by Gaurang Shah of Geojit BNP Paribas on Street View at lunch in about 30 minutes from now. Do a check on global equities as always. This time we'll be joined by Will Hedden, sales trader at IG Markets. Plenty of technical calls coming in through the show. We've got CK Narayan and Ashmi Gujral to talk about the technical side of the market. Get your commodity trading strategies from Bharat Kumar, and on the MF corner as always we'll have Dhirendra Kumar for Value Research.
Okay, while Indian index is lying absolutely quiet in trade, and it's a very narrow band that the Nifty has been hovering in from the highs to the lows of the day. It's ITC which is getting pounded in trade. We'll of course get you more details on the IDFC downgrade coming in the stock, citing systemic risks with the tobacco industry. Remember, tobacco is the largest contributor to ITC's revenues. 3.5% lower. Wipro, Sterlite Industries, Hindalco, SAIL, Tata Steel. So the entire metals pack as well is seeing some pressure, as is the case with IT, and Unilever, ONGC and Coal India are your other losers in trade. On the flip side, what's holding up? Cipla, IDFC, result reaction there, Ranbaxy for a second day on the trot. You've got an L&T as well as M&M and Tata Motors which are looking strong.
Let's kick off the show with a really big fundamental view. Now, equity markets have rallied all the way to 5350 over the past few months, and this despite all the talk of policy inaction. Markets still look resilient at these levels. ET Now's Nikunj Dalmia caught up with Vallabh Bhanshali, chairman of Enam Securities, to decode the key reasons as to why the markets are holding firm.
People have to recognize, and for 8 months, I think starting with your show in November, I talked about the markets are bottomed. When things come to book value, there are a number of stocks which are below net worth today. They have more value if you, many times more value if you just simply, took the company into liquidation. So the country has essential wisdom. A lot of investors are looking at the markets, and they still believe that, with their depreciated rupee also, these assets are very valuable. So I think we shouldn't get excited by where the market is. I think we must really feel sorry that it is not where it ought to be.
The investment cycle in India is broken down. Do you think that fixing the investment cycle should be the top priority for a government, because if the investment cycle is fixed, it will take care of a deficit?
100%. It takes care of everything. It fixes my rupee. The moment I fix my rupee, my credit, my trade balance starts changing. People's confidence starts coming in the local investment cycle, the forex situation, everything starts reversing. It's just one point agenda.
So it's all about the policy regime.
It's all about credibility, I would say. I think, we have lost the value of that expression itself. And that applies to every institution too. Whether it be, a professional like me, whether it be a regulator, or it be the government itself. We ought to think, what is the essential social contract that we have made? Is the regulator there only to regulate? Well, you can't regulate something unless it is growing. So whether growth is written in the Parliamentary Act that created me or not, it is assumed, it's presumed. We need to worry about it. We can't stifle it.
Okay, views coming in exclusively from Vallabh Bhansali of Enam. Let's bring in Ashwini Gujral, fund manager at ashwinigujral.com, and chat technicals of the current market as well. Ashwini, turning out to be an extremely quiet session, although the good thing is that we're latching on to 53.50. What trade would you recommend?
Well, the market is sideways, and it's probably absorbing supply in this 53.80, 5400 type of zone. And chances are that we could have several such days before the market makes a large move on either side. Basically, you know, all global markets are also weak to sideways. So basically that should be our trajectory, but I think Reliance is helping the market hold on. A few of the defensives are getting beat up, but overall it's a market of stocks rather than a stock market. So as long as broadly 5280, 5300 holds on, we should expect that sooner or later resumption of the uptrend should be there.
Okay, Ashwini, plenty of stocks to talk about as well, but let's talk about some stocks that are in news and kick it off with FMCG major ITC that has slipped sharply in trade after IDFC Securities downgraded the stock to underperform. Stock down over 3% in trade. The brokerage says systemic risks in the global tobacco industry will hit the stock. Navneet Saluja from our research team joins in with more details. Navneet, what are the key concerns raised by IDFC in the report?
Well, that's right, Sandeep. If you look at the IDFC report, well, they've said that sooner or later they expect cigarette consumption to decline. Well, for that we need to wait and watch. But what they have actually mentioned in their report that the global tobacco industry is witnessing a systematic risk which could lead to derating of the tobacco industry globally, and of that ITC will have a rub-off impact, and that's because essentially because of the report. Also, you've seen the counter declining by about 3%. Remember, the 52-week high was on 14th of August. That's just about day before yesterday, and the reason being for derating, if you look at countries like Australia, UK, Canada, Russia, they have already started launching their strict anti-tobacco forms, and we've recently seen Australia announcing the new packaging norms where they've said that the packaging of the cigarette boxes will be in the plain box, and there will be pictorial warnings on that. And also, if you look at the report, IDFC has clearly stated that there wouldn't be any material impact on the earnings in the near term, but the valuation impact will come. Remember, cigarette is the core business of the company, which contributes almost over 50% to its bottom line and nearly about over 80% to its bottom line. So it will have a major impact. And if you look at the other segment, like the non-cigarette FMCG segment, that's still not turned a bit positive. Hotel continues to remain a drag, and the performance from the agri and the packaging segment have been quite subdued. So if there is any kind of impact, you don't see the analysts, and at least they have said they don't see the other segments to compensate for that. Back to you.
Okay, Navneet, we'll leave it at that. Clearly, ITC is the biggest dragger, weighing heavy on the indices right now, currently lower by about 3.25% at 259 levels. To some deal news then, and after a mega deal between Mukesh Ambani's Reliance Industries and British oil giant British Petroleum or BP, the two companies are set to strike yet another transaction. Nisha Poddar gets us exclusive details on that deal. Nisha, hi. Which assets are we talking about, and how does it make sense for Reliance Industries now?
Hi Aisha, our sources do tell us at this point that Reliance Industries and British Petroleum are in talks, and Reliance Industries wants to buy out the Malaysian unit, the Petrochem unit of British Petroleum, which is working at this point in Malaysia. Now this deal could be anywhere close to about 250 crore rupees, but this is just an independent analysis and valuation of this company, since the two companies, Reliance Industries and BP, already share a large relationship when it comes to Indian operations. Remember the Big Bang deal that they had struck last year. So after that, they have a relationship going, and these deals should not be very difficult to strike for the two companies, and it's in the larger interest of both the companies, because remember, Reliance Industries already has a polyester business working in Malaysia at this point, and the prices have been plummeting. That business had not been doing that well, but then with this Petrochem unit also coming in, it will be a fully integrated unit and will help out that particular operation. And on the part of British Petroleum, they have been trying to divest most of their smaller assets across the world, and they have been just focusing on the profitable and the bigger markets. So it could be a win-win for both of them. At the moment, both the parties are on discussion stage.
Talks are on, may not be a big deal in terms of size, but it's definitely going to be a significant transaction for RIL. Nisha Poddar getting us the latest on that story. Ashwini, you want to comment on RIL? The stock is up a good 1.5% on a day when the markets are otherwise pretty flat. How would you advise traders to play this counter?
Well, this is the role that RIL has taken on. So whenever markets are weak, it tends to have, move on the upside. Chances are that it should continue to outperform even the large indices, and the next resistance here is around 830. Once we get past that, maybe 865, and the move going forward on the Nifty should be largely held by Reliance.
Ashwini, how about ITC and the kind of weakness that we're seeing on this stock? Do you think it is here to stay?
We've seen there have been excise hikes in the past, cigarettes have been banned, etc. But, this is not something you can so easily stop the consumption of. And, once the stock corrects, I think somewhere around 250, 245, you will see buying coming back into ITC. This is a great defensive. And I don't think markets are in such a roaring bull market that people will just abandon defensives and just keep piling on risk. So I think it's going into a correction. This is a good excuse to go into that correction. At lower levels, people should look to buy it.
Look to buy ITC at lower levels. That's Ashwini's call on that stock. Let's talk about some other stocks in news. Reliance Infrastructure is one of them. Lalit Jalan, CEO of Reliance Infrastructure, says that the Mumbai Metro project is close to completion and the trial runs are set to start by the end of this year. Listen in.
We have now completed 95% of the civil works for the project. The critical structures of the cable-stayed bridge over Western Express Highway is almost complete. We expect that the trial runs would start sometime by the end of the calendar year, and we hope to start the line for the people of Mumbai by the end of this financial year. We have a total of 11 road projects, totaling to about 1,000 kilometers and a total project outlay of 12,000 crores. Out of the 11 projects, 7 road projects have become operational, and we expect 3 more road projects to be operational by the end of this financial year.
We also spoke with JP Chalasani, CEO of Reliance Power, who says that the company will commission first phase of their Sasan UMPP by December. He also stated that the company expects to add 7,500 megawatts of capacity going forward.
As far as the ROSA is concerned, we have already signed the fuel supply agreement. Okay, for all 4 units we have signed it on this, and only with a clause that whatever revisions they make from the fuel supply agreement with respect to the trigger level for penalty and etc., they would become applicable even for us as well. Now, Sasan, the first unit, as we gave the guidance earlier, would get the commission by December, January this year, and thereafter every unit will come in 3 months interval, all the balance 5 units. We already have 1,800 megawatts of Butibori and Rosa, that makes it 5,800 megawatts, plus Samalkot 2,200 megawatts. So 7,000 megawatts plus renewables put together, it will be about between 7,000 to 7,500 megawatts.
Okay.